Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50 plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I am director on the board of the Alumni Association at Nassau Community College and a proud graduate. I am here to celebrate the successes of our alum, and together we will share stories that will inspire, uplift, and often amuse you. Each week, I will introduce you to the alumni of Nassau Community College interested in sharing their experiences while attending the college and the secrets to their success. Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages and share any exciting news with us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our webpage at ncc.edu/alumni. Don't forget to join the Alumni Association. Did you know Leo the Lion is the mascot for Nassau Community College? Lions are ruled by Leo and fire. The male lions represent pride while the female stands for teamwork. Together, we are Lion Tales. Today I would like to welcome to Lion Tales Mary Floratos, Class of 2000. Mary currently serves as Acting Associate Vice President for Instructional Technology Services and previously worked as the CTO/COO for an education company from 2013 to 2019. She worked with Nassau Community College in the years 2006 to 2013. Her hobbies include traveling, reading, especially historical fiction. Mary loves British mystery TV shows, the movies, and going to Broadway. Mary has a big family and especially loves to spoil her nephew. Mary is an incredible supporter of the Alumni Association, and she also works as the financial officer at the Nest at Nassau Community College, and she loves to cook. Welcome to Lion Tales, Mary Floratos, Class of 2000.
Thank you for having me, Lynnda. How are you?
So tell us about your experiences at Nassau Community College when you first came here and going way back to 2000.
Oh gosh, so many years ago now. It feels like a century ago, right?
Yeah.
Different lifetime. But
it's 2 decades ago.
Oh my God, sickening, right? I go. You never really think of yourself as getting old, right?
Yeah.
Well, I started out originally. I had a full ride to UNLV. And I was going out to Las Vegas for a totally different program of study in restaurant management, hotel restaurant management. And I just kind of knew it wasn't what I wanted. And I had started taking photography and design classes in high school. And I had to tell my parents that I wanted to go to art school.
Oh, yeah.
In 1997, right? And they were like, and I really was very nervous about it. But thankfully, my parents were fabulous, and they said, whatever you want to do. And it was at a point I just made this big change, and I didn't have anywhere to go. And I was like, I didn't have a portfolio ready. I didn't have, computers were just emerging really for computer graphic design, and, Photoshop was new, and all the Apple products and whatnot were really just kind of hitting into the publishing world. So I didn't have, like I said, I had nothing prepared for art school.
Wow.
And I said, well, I can go to Nassau. They have a program. Great, no problem. So you'll go to Nassau. And that's how it all started. Yeah. And I decided not to go out to Las Vegas and forego all of that and stay here on Long Island. And starting out in the, heading from photography to graphic design, at that time, the digital photography kind of led me down the IT path. So now, as I've made it all the way now to this position of Acting Associate Vice President for Information Technology here, and in between my time of working in a marketing field, working in graphic design, technology, interactive multimedia arts, interactive design, just kind of led me down this path all the way to technology. And along the way, I just became really great at managing people and managing projects and understanding how to talk to the client and talk to the IT people, kind of like as a translator in between, and just ended up here and just kind of going back and forth between different jobs and graduating from Nassau, going on to CW Post, graduating from there in 2002, navigating through couple of different jobs and then ending up here.
Yeah, and then you end up back here, and
oh my
it's
gosh,
sort of the beginning.
Yeah.
You say,
I'm like kind of back where I started. Yeah,
and I think that's part of really what the alumni association is about. That
absolutely,
people are coming back and sharing their stories, and it's been so inspiring to everyone because it's just an amazing part of your life that journey began.
Yeah.
And, you made a decision. You didn't go to Vegas. You could have gone 3,000 miles away and it could have been something totally different.
I come from a family where we weren't overly wealthy. Was growing up on Long Island was always tough. My parents, my father, I'm a first generation on my father's side, second generation on my mother's side in terms of immigrants. And, they grew up poor. They did not go to college because my mother couldn't afford to go to college. She had actually a scholarship to go to Parsons, but in 1957 there was no such thing as financial aid. There was no way for her to work and go to college, so she just had to work. And same thing with my father. Came here as a young man. He always says $26 in his pocket. And got here, and
I'm sure he made that stretch out.
Everything. So and it was always kind of in the back of my mind that we don't have enough money to send all three of us. I'm one of three girls, and it was like, we all have to go to college. And my parents were always, from the time we were little, you're going to go to college, you're going to go to college, whatever it takes. If we have to mop floors on our hands and knees, you're going to college. So that was ingrained in me from a very young age, and they would do anything for me. But in the same time, in the same vein, I was always like, I want to make sure I'm not wasting their money. I want to make sure that I want to do something. And Nassau was like the perfect fit because we were able to afford it. There was some financial aid for us at the time. It wasn't, it was a stretch. It's always a stretch, but it was doable, and it led me down a path that I was able to get a scholarship to post after that. I was not the most fabulous student. I had like a 90 average, which on Long Island in a lot of schools, it's kind of like, that's not good. But so you can't, you're competing with students that have like 104 average, and you
104.9.
So yeah, it's like ridiculous, right? It's absurd. But so I wasn't like the best of the best, but I wasn't the worst. So once you get to college, you just realize like, oh my gosh, this is a different world, and things start to click, and you find where you belong, and that Nassau was great. And I joined the photography club, and I had worked with a number of other clubs when I was here, always involved. I became a student aide because I couldn't afford a car. My parents couldn't afford a car for me, so I had to sit here all day until my father or mother could come and pick me up and take me home.
Yeah, and you made the best of it on campus.
And so I got a job on campus at the art gallery, so it just such a great experience. I've always loved my years at Nassau.
And going back to the beginning, some of the courses that you were taking, because were you coming in as an art major? What did you take?
So I came in, you had to take, forgive me, I feel like I work now on the administrative side of things and I forget the academic side, but I still had to take like Math 109. I still had to take 2 math classes, 2 social science classes, so I took math, I took history, I took physical science, I took, just a whole well-rounded liberal arts type of background. I took photography, I took drawing, I took I forget what I took for social science, but I can tell you that nearly all of my professors had PhDs.
Yeah.
A number of them, if I took some night classes, they were adjuncts. I remember I had one adjunct, he was from Harvard. Yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, I do this in my part-time. I'm a guest lecturer from Harvard. And here I am, paying whatever it was at the time. I want to say, granted, it was like a million years ago. I'm showing my age, but it was like $1,900 a semester, some silly amount that you're just like, comparatively to what everything else was. So just great experience. I always had great faculty, always loved it. Yeah, I was in the honors program at one point. I was able to, from the first semester on, you're an honors student now, you're on the dean's list. And, for me, it was just really empowering and just great at Nassau. It's just such a great community and really fosters that idea that you can be someone who you thought you couldn't be. Perhaps you come from a place where, you're not the biggest overachiever, but then you get here and it's like, you know what, I'm really good at this, and the faculty and the whole administration and the whole community is just behind you.
Yeah. And did you find that you met people that you might still know today, 23 years later?
Oh, yeah. I have quite a few people, faculty who work here, who I worked for back then, and number of friends. A lot of us have we've kind of dispersed across the country, and we didn't have social media then, so you kept in touch just in general, right?
Yes.
I mean, it sounds ancient, but we used to write to each other, right? And then it
Write
was
letters.
email. No, and we had a little bit of email because it was 98, 97, so there was some email, but it wasn't like how it is now.
No, not
and
like
but a lot of people still had dial-up at home,
Yeah, people had a telephone.
Yeah, so and I didn't have a cell phone. Didn't have that, I couldn't afford it. And, but, you keep in touch and you kind of gravitate back to each other and whatnot. And now with social media, you find each other again. So it's wonderful. Yeah, I love that.
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Mary Floratos, class of 2000. So we were speaking about keeping in touch with people that you met at Nassau, which is really incredible. And how has social media changed or enhanced your work, now moving forward?
Oh, social media is it's so interesting, especially with threads coming out the other day and everything.
Did you sign up for that?
I haven't yet, although I have to, right?
Yeah. Does that mean we have to delete Twitter, or we can keep it all?
I think you can keep Twitter. I don't know if Elon will come after us, but he might be vindictive and take your check mark away.
I didn't pay for my check mark.
I didn't pay for my check mark. It's funny when you think about social media from the beginning, especially with technology, and I come from the art side of technology, the digital photography, the graphic design, the web, and how it's incredible how there are companies now, just retail organizations, you name it, that don't even have a website anymore, right? And meanwhile, I come from a world where a website was the thing, right?
Website creation
and now
it's
all about, you don't even need one now. You just need a social media presence, and that's your website, and that's your vehicle for your retail sales and influencers. I mean, I think it's incredible. I know that there's a lot of doom and gloom out there with the ChatGPT, and the end of the world is coming and humans are going to be annihilated. But I have a lot of faith in the human. I think that we're going to prevail. We're going to be just fine. This is just another step in the process.
Yeah, I think the artificial intelligence will be, if, again, it has to be used appropriately and for specific reasons. And that big company, I think it's in San Francisco, even that CEO was saying, I don't know yet exactly what it will look like. They're sort of doing statistical analysis to kind of see like where exactly it's going to go. And I mean, in terms of music, and that's something that's
really interesting. It's interesting how you hear how you can make up someone's voice. The Beatles are dead, and meanwhile they're making songs or whatever. Or there's a popular band Oasis, right? That from when I was young, you know, that the brothers broke up, and now people are making songs with them singing together. And it's kind of funny. You're just like, but I feel like we're smarter than that. I feel like we, it's. I don't know.
Because, the Beatles used the recordings in 1996, 95, 96. They were using John's cassette tapes to use his voice, and through the production and in the studio, they were able to do that. And it really, it sounded amazing. So I can't imagine that the Beatle camp now would do anything that wouldn't be as good or even better now.
I mean, it is. It's definitely, we're definitely on this cusp of some big changes happening. Yeah. But I guess I'm I don't know, what am I, just silly optimistic or whatnot, but I don't know. I don't think that the end of the human existence is around the corner, and I think we're smarter. We've evolved and we've lasted pretty long on this earth, more than any other.
We absolutely have.
So I think we're going to be okay.
Coming out of the pandemic. Now think about that, because with what you're doing with instructional technology
huge. Yeah. It's changed so much. It's incredible what's happened in 3 or 3.5 years.
What should we know about really working remotely? Because, so many people did not, even now, they didn't go back to work. They're still working remotely
from home. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
What could we know to get better being a remote worker and doing that work?
I found that especially I was working for the college as a part-timer. I was an adjunct working for the college during the pandemic. And I will say that for me, probably the biggest challenge was separating your work day.
Yeah.
Driving home, was kind of like your way of shutting down to say, okay, I'm no longer at work, but the lines were so blurred during the pandemic that you just kept on working, right? And yes, we were all trying to get a job done, especially here at Nassau. People, I can't even describe everything, is from the IT department across the whole board of people who extra hours, overtime, just doing everything they can to make sure that the students had the resources and the faculty and the instructors could really get their job done and make sure that we were still fulfilling our mission to teach these students, And I think for me, one of the biggest lessons learned, and I know my colleagues and I at the time, and now my staff members, we talk about it, that you need to separate your day. Yeah. You need to, make sure, have a separate working space. And it's hard. It's hard in New York. We don't have enough places to live in general. We don't have enough room. But, to really try to make a separate carved out space for yourself wherever you can in your home so that you really can separate out. Because I think psychologically that if you're working 24 hours a day, if all you do is think about work, eventually it's not great. And there are really some people do great working from home. I even have staff members, faculty, they would do better even probably working from home. The nature of a community college is, I don't think 100% would work from home would really work. That's not what we are, right? A community college is there to give you the support that you need. And I think that the one really important thing that we're learning in terms of the digital learning environment and instructional design is how can we create these hybrid, very flexible digital learning environments so we can accommodate the individuals who do well at their house. Because there are a lot of students, if you have some type of an accessibility issue, it's great for you to be able to stay home and still be able to be interactive and work and be with other students at the same time. But we want to make that environment really friendly, really easy to use for all the instructors and the students alike. There's so much technology out there, and I'm really looking forward to working with a lot of the divisions on campus, because I have some big plans for redoing most of the instructional rooms here on campus and really, really elevating the technology that we're using right now. I'd like to see everything really move to the cutting edge.
And I think, just in terms of working remotely when we were forced to, now I don't want to forget how to do it.
Yeah, it's true.
You kind of, you have this sort of PTSD and you put it behind you, but then it could happen tomorrow and you're like, we have to go right back on this.
It's something administratively, unfortunately, or fortunately, we kind of think about it all the time, like, we can't say anymore, oh my gosh, nothing like that will ever happen again.
No, because
but we really can't think like that. So it's always something that we're thinking about, trying to understand what can we do to make sure we can pivot again. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's hope that nothing happens, but let's plan for, if we do have to pivot one more time, we want to try to make it as easy on everybody as possible.
Yeah, what would be good to kind of set up in your home? Like I know some people have a laptop and an iPad.
Yep, laptop. I think just having your camera working, right? I love that. I always enjoy, if you're getting new equipment, purchase a screen that has a camera built in, makes your life easier. I know I argue my staff. We're a PC shop here at Nassau, but we do have some Apple. I always prefer Apple technology, but it is what it is. A lot of people love their Microsoft products and their Dells and their HPs, and they're great. I think it's really probably the most important thing that I would recommend is get used to your equipment. Yeah. Get used to your computer, use it. A lot of times people buy things and they just kind of sit in the back. Oh, I haven't done it yet. I know people who buy a computer and then they don't even open it up, or they buy a new laptop. They don't take it out of the box.
That's
and you're
true.
Like, I'm not ready. I bought it, but I'm still using my old one. But really, get it out of the box. Start to use it. Don't be afraid of. I hear this a lot, especially from some of the older individuals that I work with. Even my parents, I don't want to break it. Back in the day, when we had like our old Commodore 64s and whatnot, you type the wrong thing and you deleted your C drive completely. But it's not like that anymore. Right. Just mess around with it and learn how to put it back to factory settings. I always tell everybody, just Google. If you can't figure out how to do something, just Google. I do it. If I don't know how to do something in Microsoft Word or I don't know how to do something on my PC, I just Google how do I fix this program? Believe me, you are not the only one that has had this problem.
Last June, I got a new HP, and it literally was in the box. And June, July, August, by September, I was like trying to drag it out.
Yeah.
And
I think that's like a thing. Everyone kind of is like, it's such a big job to actually set it up and turn it on. And then it's really not in the end.
And it has the camera. You press the top and it pops up. But I didn't know. I'm like,
nice.
oh my God, it doesn't have the camera.
Great. Oh,
And then on my laptop, I'm like, oh my God, how come no one can see me? Well, guess what? Because that laptop didn't have the camera, so I would have to get the external camera.
Yeah, which gets a little, all the peripherals do get annoying.
Yeah.
You know, I can see that. But yeah, I think it's really important just to be comfortable with your equipment. And if you don't like your equipment, try to buy some new stuff.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what you can find on eBay and Amazon and all these other types
Right.
of resale. People are selling new stuff that they don't want to use, that they overbought, So you'd be surprised. You don't have to buy everything brand new,
Right.
and you can find some pretty good deals out there. And you don't need a machine that's like crazy expensive.
And when something does go back to factory settings,
you just start from the beginning.
yeah. And then so I could even get something used.
Correct. Yeah,
You know?
like a refurb. And myself, I can only speak for myself, but I tell everybody I've incorporated in my household too. We only do everything in the cloud. I don't save anything local, no matter, even if I have a good machine. Even here at the college, we use OneDrive. So we're a Microsoft shop. We're, with Office 365, and we're starting to change over everybody to not save any documents locally. If you save everything in your cloud, in your OneDrive, or if you're an Apple user, you can save it in your iCloud, or if you like Dropbox or whatever, any other of those other services, you should always keep a backup somewhere. I mean, that I do back up all my documentation and whatnot on an external drive. But if you keep everything in the cloud, then you can easily just go from computer to work, and you never have to worry about not having something. I don't have access to it. Oh, I forgot it. I saved it on my other computer at work, and now I don't have it at home, and there's a snowstorm, and I can't get to my computer. So if and I think that's I would definitely say that would be a recommendation for me as well. Try working in the cloud. It makes my life easier.
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Mary Floratos, class of 2000. And also we're speaking about the drives, right now on my phone, I have 8,076 emails. And I've been trying to delete them all. I don't even know how it could accumulate. But if I delete them all, do they go to the cloud or they're gone forever?
Depends on your service, depends on your settings, depends that, email is like the 4-letter word now of life.
Could you imagine if I came home and I had 8,000 letters in the mailbox?
Exactly.
I think we overdo the email for sure.
We do. With my with my team now in the ITS department or division, I'm trying to really push everyone to use a product called Teams, Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
Which is kind of like a Slack or kind of like an instant messaging. So it's a very robust product that has a lot of potential, in terms of project management and team management. But one of the nicest features is this kind of instant messaging that it has. And you can build your team, and then you can just message with parts of your team, all of your team, just have conversations. And a lot of times they'll go back and forth on an email chain, and I'll be like, hey, folks, we don't need 12,000 emails saying yes and no. Just take this to Teams, So I'm trying to change the mentality a little bit so that, because sometimes I get back to my desk and I'm like, why do I have 92 emails? What happened when I was gone for 5 minutes?
It's 5 minutes. Because I was figuring out when I was actually working, when I was an elementary school principal, every hour I would get about maybe 12 to 15 emails times 10 hours, and you're trying desperately to return it back.
It's a constant battle. I mean, it's like laundry at home. You're trying to get it done, and every time you turn around, there's just more. It's not something it's not unique to Nassau. It's not unique to you. You hear about it in all industries right now, that businesses are just trying to tackle the whole email problem, you know? And
I wonder how the AI may affect.
I've thought about that myself. Can I have AI respond to my emails for me?
Yeah, there could be a way. You never know. You'll have sort of like a little chat. We'll all have a chatbot robot or something.
I think a lot of it is also we need to do some more training, some more kind of just awareness around being succinct, and perhaps not everything needs to be an email. Sometimes just pick up the phone. A lot of times you can avoid about 12 emails if you just call someone and say, or just say, can we chat in a few minutes, and get on their calendar. And that's really important to me too. I like to make the connection, and a lot of times my calendar is open to the whole college. Someone wants to throw a meeting on it, they can put a meeting on my calendar and invite me through Outlook. So it just kind of makes your life a little bit easier.
What are your thoughts related to equity and inclusion, especially within IT and then higher education?
Sure, absolutely. Speaking from personal experience as a woman in a male-dominated field for many, many years, perhaps not initially in the art field side of things, but a little bit. I can say that I was really lucky growing up. I had a lot of teachers who were really empowering, and I learned how. I remember being in the 4th grade. It was my first real interaction with a computer, and I had a teacher, and she said, you're really good at this. You got to stick to it, and just going from there. And by her saying that to me, and then my mother and my father and my family kind of reinforcing it, and then little by little, just people who are touch you in your life that, whether they're an instructor, whether they're someone that you work with, whether they're a boss or a supervisor. It's so important, I realize, to encourage individuals to, when they are good at something, to push them towards it, to recognize that, we do need to be, we need to look at our divisions or look at our departments or look where we're working and say, are we representative of everybody? Have I encouraged everybody the right way? Because I was encouraged by people to say, people, helped me to get there. So it is really important to me. I'm a big proponent of the entire, we have a process here at Nassau, especially in the hiring process and whatnot, to make sure that we have all of this in the forefront of our minds when we're looking at our areas. And
you've been really instrumental in terms of the Alumni Association because you sponsor students and you were a big supporter of the gala. And, why do you like giving back to the college? I remember not having enough money. Yeah. Like, I remember, you don't forget that, No, you don't. Absolutely.
And not that we were ever, I never starved. I'm not saying that. But I didn't have what other students had. I didn't have what other people around me perhaps had. And I think that's the story of a lot of people. Yeah. And I didn't have a car. People did have cell phones when we could not afford, my parents, I couldn't get one. I worked 3-4 jobs my whole entire time in college. I waitressed on the weekends. I worked at the college. I babysat. I mean, we did everything, to make sure. So I remember what that's like. And, the gala's great. The fundraising events are wonderful. And yes, you know what? The cost of things are what they are. There's really not much we can do about that. But for the students, I love to sponsor a table for them. I want this. Having the students at the events is so great.
Yeah, if you know that you could get a kid a yearbook or a T-shirt.
Correct.
Or here's $65 and they could sit at the table.
Absolutely.
That's it changes their life. Yeah. We watched the students at the gala.
Oh my God, it was fabulous
and
having
it was
them.
Just really, and that's what it's about.
And the student, when I asked them at the Alumni Association, the president, Lori George, and I said, what can I do? It's just me coming, but I'm going to buy a table. And she said, it'd be great, for the Student Government Association because they dedicate so much of their time, these kids. I mean, they're here, this is it. They are in it to win it. So let's give them something back, and that's really what was my motivation, for that.
I would like to thank our guest, Mary Floratos, class of 2000. How can our listeners contact you?
Oh, you can always email me, mary.floratos@ncc.edu. I'm sure my name is on the website somewhere in some directory.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for being here today, Mary Floratos. I would like to thank you for being our guest today. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I serve as a director on the board of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I am a proud alum. Lion Tales is available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. More information online at nccradio.org. Thanks for listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.